Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this is from the Esports World Cup. This is game 2 of for a second set, where in the first game, Alireza Firouzja, with just 15 seconds on his clock, he was able to beat Magnus in the end scramble, where Magnus was like he was going to flag him, and he missed a couple of moves, missed a couple of perfect moves. So instead, Alireza Firouzja came back, and in 15 seconds he was able to get a win in just 15 seconds. That was absolutely incredible. But this is game 2. Magnus has to win to force Alireza Firouzja into a corner in set 2. So this is going to be an incredible game. So without further ado, let's start with this game. We have just d4 by Magnus and just d5 by Alireza Firouzja, and we have c4, c6, just knight to f3, knight to f6. Going for the Slav defense, we have knight to c3, e6, but now just g3. And we have d captures, we have bishop to g2, but just b5. Just trying to go for saving that pawn. We know many times that even in Queen's Gambit decline, that pawn is not savable. So I think that's something that's not should be done with the black pieces. But Alireza goes for it, but just castles, bishop to b7, and here just knight to e5, just trying and putting some pressure on that very nice c6 pawn. And we have a6, but now just b3, and here just b4, trying to go for an even greater advancement. But here just knight to a4 and just c3, and this is looking very dangerous, but I can tell you it's not that dangerous. Here just a3, but now just going for a5. I mean, so many moves wasted on just pawn moves. And here just knight to c4 was played, and here just bishop to a6. I mean, this is just completely new territory. I don't think it's ever been played, but I could be wrong. But here in this position, Magnus goes for a captures, and that is the best move in this position. Here just bishop captures knight first, and b captures, and just a captures. And you can see that Engine does not like it. Engine gives white, who's the favorite. So here Magnus goes for c5, and just look at this incredible structure here in the middle of the board. But here just queen to b3, here just bishop to e7, and just queen to b3, just trying and gobbling up those pawns, and black can do pretty much nothing about it. Still, Alireza Firouzja goes for queen captures on d4, but now you know the moves that is coming. Bishop to e3, just trying and attacking the queen. But you have to understand that this comes with the tempo. So here in development, Magnus just gets a free development basically. So here queen to g4, but now just comes h3, and here is no square where queen can be here, so it has to go back. It cannot defend the b4 pawn anymore. Queen to h5, and Magnus in this position, without trying to get a better move, he went for queen captures on b4. Although he could have gone for it in a different way, just knight captures on c3, because you cannot capture, because just rook captures first of all. So you have to first capture with the rook captures, and now you cannot capture because your knight is hanging and you haven't castled yet. That's an issue. So here after castles, you play queen captures on b4, and after knight bd7, just play rook to a5. And here after h6, you'll be inclined to go for g4, attacking the queen. Queen moves to e5, but now you have bishop captures on c6. And here after rook to c8, attacking the bishop. Bishop captures on d7, and after knight captures, you get knight to e4, just defending that. And here after going for queen to d5, you play queen to d4, asking for a queen trade. Queen captures, bishop captures, rook to c7, and you will very likely enjoy this extra pawn, and most likely white will be the one who's going to be having a win in this position. But here queen captures on b4 serves the same purpose, but a lot more moves. We have castles, knight captures on d3, and just knight bd7. And here just going for rook captures on a8, rook captures, and just bishop captures on c6, just grabbing that pawn right away. And there's nothing wrong with that, absolutely nothing wrong. Magnus has the advantage still now. Here rook to b8, just asking Magnus, where are you going to put the queen? And Magnus took at least 1.5 minutes on this move, and he was very frustrated because you want to defend this and you still want to keep pressure. So how do you do it? Because there's absolutely nothing where you can see, if you're thinking about maybe just I'll just put pressure on this knight and I might be able to do anything about that, but it doesn't work, is what you have to understand. Because this knight captures here, and there are so many attackers, and you are not defending anything, so it's going to be very much difficult. But Magnus find the only moves in this position, just going for this queen to f4, just putting some pressure here. But now we see a trade. Bishop captures on c5, we have knight captures on d7, knight captures, and here in this position just rook to d1, a very beautiful move by Magnus. Here e5 was played, because you have to understand that here after bishop captures and queen captures, there is this very beautiful beautiful move, queen captures. And here once knight captures, you can just go in, and it would lead to, you could block, but you have to understand that it will lead to Magnus being a piece up, and it would be in a completely winning position. Actually, not a piece up, but he would have the advantage in that position. So here after e5 was played, now you don't have that advantage anymore. So here just queen to g4, we have queen captures on g4, h captures, And here, definitely, this is the move. Bishop caps on e3, but now just not recapturing, because this would be a terrible, terrible pawn structure. So instead, going for rook caps on h7, rook caps on d7, and now you have to understand that rook, rook and a knight in a closed position against a rook and a bishop is going to be very much winning. But you have to understand one thing, that Alireza is very much low on the clock. He's here, just 1 minute he has, and he knows that. Magnus knows that he's incredibly fast on the clock, but still, in 1 minute, completing an entire endgame is just very much difficult. Bishop to c5, g5, and g5 is a beautiful, beautiful move, covers a lot of square, as you'll see later in the game. We have bishop back to f8, and here just king to g2, rook to e8, knight to e4, and here just rook to c8, and here in this position just rook to d5, but rook to e8, and here just king to f3, and we have bishop to a3, just trying to make some room, trying to push some things, but here just e3, and here we have bishop back to f8, just trying to figure out something, while because you're very much low on the clock, king to g4, but just here king to h8, knight to d2, we have g6, but here knight to c4, and that knight is definitely coming for that pawn, so you have to defend it. So bishop defense, but now just knight rook to e7, just targeting that. We have king to g8, but now just comes knight to d6, targeting both of these things, so you have to defend. And here just rook to e7, now targeting it maybe by going here, and now here f5 check, but just en passant, and that was pre-moved by Magnus. We have h5 check, king moves, rook captures. Now you have to defend this pawn, so that's why the move with the knight back. We have rook to f5, just trying to keep the pressure on, but here just rook to e6, and here in this position just king to f7 was played, attacking the rook moves, and we have bishop to f8, and here in this position just king to g2, bishop to e7, but just here f3, just trying to keep an eye on everything, also just threatening this, and we have king to g7, g4, h captures, f captures, but now just going for rook to f8, and in this position just rook to e6, just trying to put some pressure, and here bishop to h4, and this bishop to h4 would turn out to be the worst mistake of Alireza Firouzja, because this is not a blunder now, it will be a blunder in a few moves. Here rook captures on e5, just grabbing that pawn, and Alireza realizing that he's a pawn down, but he has to understand it's still a draw, and that's what you can do when you are less on the clock. And here rook to 8 was played, but just rook to b5, we have rook to e8, rook to b7 check, king moves, and here just king to f3, rook to f8 check, king moves, rook to d8, and just rook to b5, and we have bishop to e7, but now just rook to e5, bishop to h4, but now you understand the problem, the beautiful, beautiful g5 check, king moves, now you give this check, and once the king moves, now you understand that here rook to h7, and your bishop is actually trapped, and you cannot do anything. You can capture, but that is just besides the point. So it was on this move, on move 60, Alireza Firouzja resigned the game, and game 2 of set 2 goes to Magnus. Alireza now has to force and win game 3 and game 4 to try and do anything in this set. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you all.